Did you ever wonder how a conflict, which started in a corner of the world, could engulf the entire globe in a matter of 2 years? The dawn of the Second World War was marked by an intricate web of political tensions, economic hardships, and ideological differences. In the late 1930s, the world was still nursing the wounds of the Great War, and the global economy was reeling from the Great Depression. It was during these testing times that ambitious and ruthless leaders rose to power in Germany, Italy, and Japan, forming what would later be known as the Axis powers. Germany, under the rule of Adolf Hitler, was the first to show its aggressive intentions. Hitler's expansionist policies were clear, and he made no secret of his disdain for the Treaty of Versailles, which had ended the First World War. His audacious move came in September 1939 when German forces invaded Poland, defying the warnings of Britain and France. This event marked the beginning of the Second World War. Meanwhile, global powers were watching these events unfold with growing unease. Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union, among others, began to form alliances, laying the groundwork for what would become the Allied powers. In the initial stages of the war, Germany unleashed the Blitzkrieg or lightning war strategy, a swift and brutal form of warfare. They quickly overran Poland, and by June 1940 they had also conquered France. The fall of France sent shockwaves around the world. It was a chilling reminder of the destructive power of the Axis forces, and it signaled the beginning of a global conflict that would involve 72 countries. The world was on the brink of the largest, most devastating war in human history. A war that would leave around 45 million dead, 35 million injured, and 3 million missing. A war that would cost an estimated $1,385 billion. And just like that, in a matter of months, the world was plunged into a war of unprecedented scale. As the world reeled under the relentless march of the Axis powers, little did they know the tide was about to turn. The Battle of Stalingrad, often regarded as one of the most brutal battles in human history, was a major turning point in the war. From August 1942 to February 1943, the city saw relentless warfare that pushed the limits of human endurance. It was here that the Red Army of the Soviet Union, despite being heavily outnumbered, managed to hold their ground against the formidable German forces. The battle ended with a decisive Soviet victory, marking the first major defeat of Hitler's forces and shifting the momentum in favor of the Allies. Simultaneously, halfway across the globe, the United States of America was yet to enter the fray. However, the attack on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese forces in December 1941 served as the catalyst for their involvement. A surprise military strike on the morning of December 7th resulted in significant losses for the United States. This attack served as the tipping point, leading to the United States declaring war on Japan and subsequently joining the Allies in the fight against the Axis powers. The entry of the United States into the war was indeed a game-changer. With its industrial might and vast resources, the United States was able to provide substantial support to the Allies. The infusion of American troops, arms and resources proved to be a vital boost for the Allied forces. In tandem, strategic decisions such as Operation Overlord, more commonly known as D-Day, saw the largest amphibious invasion in history. The Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944. Marking a significant step towards the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control. These turning points signified a shift in the balance of power. They marked the beginning of the end for the Axis powers, as the Allies began their march towards Berlin and Tokyo. The Axis powers, once seemingly unstoppable, now found themselves on the defensive. The year 1945 dawned with the world holding its breath. The end was near, but at what cost? As the year began, the Allies were closing in on Germany from both east and west. The Soviet Union, relentless and unforgiving, pushed towards Berlin from the east, while the United States and Great Britain advanced from the west. The once invincible Third Reich was cornered and crumbling. Berlin, the heart of Hitler's empire, fell in May. The Nazi regime, which had plunged the world into chaos, was finally defeated. Germany's unconditional surrender marked the end of the war in Europe. Yet, halfway across the world, another war was still raging. In the Pacific, the United States faced the Empire of Japan. The island-hopping campaign had brought them closer to Japan's home islands. But the cost in lives was staggering, and the Japanese resolve was unyielding. In a bid to end the war swiftly and save lives, the United States made a fateful decision. In August, 2 atomic bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The devastation was unimaginable. The power to destroy on such a scale was a sobering testament to the advances of science and technology, but also a chilling reminder of their potential for destruction. The atomic bombings brought the reality of the situation into stark focus for Japan. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender. The formal signing of the surrender took place aboard the USS Missouri on September 2nd, marking the official end of World War II. The war had spanned 6 long years and involved 72 nations. It had left around 45 million dead, 35 million injured, and 3 million missing. The total cost of World War II is estimated to have reached $1,385 billion. On September 2nd, 1945, the guns finally fell silent. But the echoes of this colossal conflict would resonate for decades to come. Scene script: World War II, a war of a scale and devastation unlike any before, left an indelible mark on human history. Involving 72 countries, with major players like Great Britain, the United States and the Soviet Union locked in combat with Germany, Italy and Japan, the war was a global conflagration. The human toll was immense, with an estimated 45 million lives lost, 35 million injured and 3 million missing. Financially, the cost was astronomical, totaling over $1,385 billion. But beyond these staggering numbers, the war reshaped our world. It altered geopolitical boundaries, sowing the seeds for future conflicts. It sparked social changes, as societies had to rebuild and redefine themselves in the aftermath. It also gave rise to significant technological advancements, some of which continue to influence our lives today. And so, we remember World War II not to glorify war, but to understand its costs and to strive for a world where such a conflict never occurs again.